Okay, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video here today. As always, hope you guys are having a great one. And guys, of course we have more stuff to go ahead and talk about, right? Why would we not? Not a surprise there at all. But the Tesla news for the day is going to start out with a huge discussion about a couple of key points that I think right now are very, very noteworthy. Now, we have heard kind of circulating around in the zeitgeist, in the media sphere, if you will, that Musk could now be looking to close the Twitter acquisition deal by the end of this month. Now, I want to say right now, that is something that, in my personal opinion, okay, it could take more time. And I want to be very realistic with this. I think that now that Musk has focused on buying Twitter, now that he's really looking to do that, I think it is something that should be gradual. It should be something that takes a bit of time, and it should be really carried out in the best, most comprehensive way that it can be, right? We've seen so much talk around Elon Musk buying Twitter, about Elon Musk, buying the company, starting to lead the company, and it just seems like people are like, oh, well, you better hurry up and do this, but at the same time, they're like, well, no, we don't want it's a lot of contradiction, right? And I brought that up yesterday as well. It's something we talked about, and it really doesn't seem to be much different today at all. Anyway, guys, with that said, I do think that that's really a good way to kind of lead into this. And I think that also that's a very interesting point of discussion, especially when we look at the overarching talk about Tesla stock for the day. Now, I think that we're already seeing a lot of volatility in the market. We're seeing a lot of fluctuations today. Tesla stock is also seeing a good deal of selling, right? We're seeing a bit of selling volume going on. And I think that right now, a lot of what we're seeing really comes down to the sort of overarching look at the economy, at how things are looking generally. So I think that we could look at this and we could say, well, could this be Twitter stock? Could it be Twitter having an impact on Elon Musk, starting to look into really taking control of the company? Well, no, I don't necessarily think so, because again, it's sort of a much larger perspective that we can look at right now. Anyway, guys, with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about a giant update as well for superchargers. Now, we are hearing that according to Electrek, Tesla did temporarily leak upcoming supercharging stations. And gonna be honest with you guys right now, supercharging stations, they're expanding in a very, very broad way. We're seeing a lot of development, a lot of expansion overall. So not really anything that's incredibly noteworthy there. I think it's always worthwhile keeping your eye on these expansions and keeping an eye on where exactly they are heading next. But with that being said, it was not something that's incredibly noteworthy. We're not going to spend too much time on that. But something I do want to go ahead and talk about, which right now is especially important for Tesla, and it's very, very noticeable, okay? It is something we have seen sort of playing out here time and time again. Tesla's Gigafactory Shanghai port, the South Port terminal, has now been filled, absolutely filled with vehicles. Now, that appears to be something that right now is predominantly happening because, well, the quarter is starting to wrap up. And yes, obviously it's not, I just blent November and October into one word. It's October, is what I meant to say. So it's only natural that we're going to see a very, very large rollout starting to happen right now, right? But again, it really proves that Tesla with Shanghai, they're up and running, they're doing good volume, good production there, and that really does matter, especially for, Oceania, if we want to talk about that. Australia, similar markets like that. Those markets really do matter a lot. They are way too often overlooked, and I want to make that very clear. So this is a great thing, okay? It's going to see prioritization to markets that are oftentimes overlooked, not to mention that frees up more vehicles for the domestic supply in China, which is also a very, very good thing. Markets that really matter a lot, okay? I think that China gets a lot of attention in terms of Tesla's focus on production. I think that a lot of the Oceania countries do kind of get overlooked, so it's very good that this is still continuing to ramp up. Anyway, with that being said, guys, now let's go ahead and let's talk about an update as well that I do think is very noteworthy. Insofar as the Twitter deal is concerned, we are looking at a 3-week timeline for this, okay? Now, I'm going to say again, that's going to be about the 28th of October. That was actually put forward by, I want to say a judge, okay, actually to work on closing that deal, pushing all of that forward, pushing it together. Again, could we see delays to this? Yeah, I think that we could, but it's still something that we do want to go ahead and keep an eye on as a lot of this continues to develop. Now, yesterday, we did briefly talk about Norway seeing a decline in electric vehicle sales. And I talked about why, when we see declines like that, it's really not as big of a deal as people tend to think. But at the same time, I do want to go ahead and say that we are seeing in Norway now a pretty good champion, so to speak, also referring to Tasmanian here, of sales happening, and that is the Tesla Model Y. Tesla Model Y in Norway sold super, super well in the month of September. It was actually well above other vehicles that were sold in that market, and that is such a good thing, right? So even though Norway might be seeing fewer electric vehicle sales being actually conducted, and again, there are good reasons for that, simply speaking, the market's seeing a lot of saturation. I do want to say right now, Model Y is still doing excellently, doesn't surprise me whatsoever, and that's a quick note there as well. Anyway, guys, with that said, I don't have quite as much time to talk about all of this stuff today, so let's go ahead and actually move on to what I would consider to be the most worthwhile update, really, of the day, okay? This is a multi-billion-dollar product, and it is finally, I think, ready for the mainstream. I think it's finally ready to happen, finally ready to start rolling out, no pun intended, and really start pushing into the marketplace. Now, of course, we're talking about the Tesla electric semi-truck, and a lot of you guys aren't going to be surprised by this at all. I do want to go ahead and note that right now. It's going to be something that's actually pretty expected because we've been waiting for the semi-truck for a few years now, obviously, but I think that finally, battery production, material production, all of that is really where it needs to be. The factories to make the semi-truck real are online, and they're really starting to speed up, okay? But now Elon Musk has officially confirmed directly on Twitter that a giant ramp for this is now underway. And not only that, but delivering these vehicles to a company, okay? Not just simply saying, oh, well, we're going to let somebody test it out. We're going to, no, they're literally starting to work with clients, with purchasers in just a bit. Actually, now about 2 months away, which is a really, really good time frame, okay? But anyway, yeah, Musk directly confirmed this on Twitter, also giving a very exciting update for the range. And Musk said, excited to announce start of production of Tesla semi-truck with deliveries to at Pepsi on December 1st. Now, December 1st is giant. That is a really, really strong outlook. And for Tesla right now, I think that Elon Musk is realizing that electric semi-trucks have got to be a priority, and for good reason, right? They really need to be, because the market is starting to show so much strength, so much momentum. We're hearing obviously about markets possibly not allowing the direct sale of gasoline and diesel vehicles. Now, for heavy-duty applications like this, we're probably going to see exceptions. But I will say Tesla is getting ahead of the competition, putting a vehicle out there that's going to deliver and is going to be able to really bring its A game and say, hey, I'm here, I've got the batteries, I've got the range, I've got the performance. Here is why your company needs a Tesla electric semi-truck. And being able to step forward and say, hey, we have this advantage, we've got the manufacturing, we understand EVs, that's going to be a giant game changer for the company overall. Now, I have estimated that this will be Tesla's premier industrial product, okay? When I say industrial product, I mean vehicles related to logistics primarily, probably more than anything else. That would be my sort of overarching concern to begin with. Logistics, very, very big industry, so obviously getting vehicles for that prioritized, it's gotta happen, has to happen, okay? And I would say the Cybertruck will probably follow up the semi-truck in establishing this trend of electric utility vehicles. Now, these are real utility vehicles, right? I know that we've heard companies saying, well, we're going to make electric off-roaders, we're going to make electric SUVs. Yeah, well, okay. We all know they're going to end up being crossovers, okay? Most likely, in my opinion anyway, they're probably going to be crossovers, spend most of their time on the pavement, and don't even have as much cargo space as a station wagon. We've seen that a lot, okay? I don't know about you guys. I personally am not a huge fan of the crossover trend. I know they're immensely popular, and for good reason. They've got good ground clearance, they've got a great amount of usability. I do think that's noteworthy, okay? I think the Model Y, and here's my honest opinion, has done a really good job of being a strong crossover because, first of all, the platform's really good, performance is still fantastic, obviously, and not only that, it also does have good cargo space. I think that if a vehicle's going to be sort of a larger form factor, cargo space is pretty key. But anyway, back to the semi-truck. Yeah, December 1st is what we're looking at for that, and not just for any company. We're talking PepsiCo. PepsiCo is kind of a big deal, okay? And I don't think I need to sit here and explain why PepsiCo is a big deal. when it comes down to electric semi-trucks, okay? PepsiCo is a meticulous company. It is a giant company with a very strong brand image. And if a company like PepsiCo is trusting Elon Musk for something like an electric semi-truck, well, I think we're looking at a pretty good opportunity for Tesla to go ahead and say, hey, we've got this in the bag. We've got this figured out. We know what's up. We know what we're doing. Let's go ahead. Let's get it out there. Let's start this, okay? And that is such a good opportunity there for Tesla to really pull ahead of the competition. Now, here's the thing. I want to note this as well. Elon Musk followed up on this, and this was actually pretty late yesterday evening, and said 500-mile range and super fun to drive. 500-mile range. Now, here's the thing. I want to talk about the second point first, which might seem strange, but anyway, super fun to drive. Let's talk about that. Electric semi-trucks are going to, I think, add a sort of new standard of performance for semi-trucks in general. And I know a lot of semi-trucks, when they're unladen, right, when they're not towing anything, they're actually pretty quick. They've got a lot of get up and go. The semi-truck from Tesla, I think, is going to revolutionize that even more. And I think a lot of semi-truck drivers, if it comes down to independent drivers wanting to buy their own truck, they might actually really start to look at the Tesla Semi, because it's going to be a lot more fun and high performance when it comes to driving it. Now, obviously, reliability, dependability, maintenance, those things matter a lot too. But I think that the semi-truck from Tesla is a very strong contender on those on those fronts as well. Now, we've also got to consider the range, okay? And Musk here confirms 500-mile range and super fun to drive. Now, in my opinion, guys, it really does not get much more clear cut than that, okay? 500 miles of range. Now, when the semi-truck was first announced, it was really pretty up in the air when exactly, okay, we were going to see a sort of range estimate that was a bit more pragmatic, okay? And there was sort of this guess of, well, maybe it'll have 150, oh, maybe it'll have 700, 800 miles of range. Now we're settling about halfway in the midpoint there. And I've got to say, for electric semi-trucks, that is ideal. You don't have too much dumb weight, okay? Dumb weight is when you add redundant weight that essentially cuts down the performance over time. You don't want to add a huge gas tank to your car for obvious reasons. There are greatly diminishing returns. Same thing for electric vehicles. 500 miles, really solid. Mega charging's gonna really do well with that. Mega charging, if you guys don't know, could be looking at 1 megawatt there or more. Very solid charging potential, and that is really where a lot of this starts to really see some serious changes. So again, I did want to talk about this. I think that, again, 500 miles range, really, really good. And if this can hit the ground hard in December, hit the ground running, I think we're going to see a lot of companies really attracted to this, and I think that's going to make all the difference. Let me know what you guys think as well. Let's take a brief look at Tesla stock so far for the day. I did talk about it briefly already, but Tesla stock so far is down again by about 6%. I will say honestly, there's a lot of updates going on with the whole Twitter ordeal, okay? A lot of people are still looking at that and wondering, will Elon Musk be able to run the companies at the same time? Twitter stock, let's take a look at that as well, see how exactly it's doing. Twitter today, it's down by about 0.89%, even though that news of Musk acquiring it is still sort of sinking in. I think that, again, the broader market condition, if we look at SPY, for example, the SPY S&P 500 ETF Trust, that's down by about 2.5% today. It is a very, very tumultuous market. We're seeing a lot of volatility, and I think a lot of people right now are very much feeling that. So again, it's not super pleasant, and I did want to go ahead and talk about that briefly as well. We'll keep an eye on that as the week moves along next week, but I will say, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great one. Keep it right here, and adios.